All right, good morning. I would love a quick update how it's going. Nice to see you, TJ, and just kind of see where you guys want to take us today.
Well, I just thought we'd go over, first of all, it was kind of interesting for the one assignment where we did the redo and we took some out because they didn't do the tense part quite right. And so we took some of the higher level, kind of a mixed group out.
Yeah, it was a really good
And then we called the names for another group and then we stayed. And so I think when we called the other names, they kind of knew.
Well, at first they weren't really sure what to expect. They thought they were kind of like, ooh, we gotta leave the room. And then I had their papers, and once they saw the papers, they're like, oh, this is what
we have to redo that.
Yeah, we have to redo this. But they weren't, fighting me for doing the material or anything like that. It was just kind of like you could see all the wind go out of their sails. So I mean, it was kind of a build them up type process, but I think we got through it. I mean, I haven't checked the papers. Did you?
Oh yeah, no, they're better.
They're better.
Yeah,
so.
They're better. And so I had an extra worksheet for them to do, and then they could correct their sentences. And you explained so you don't fail. So because otherwise it wouldn't be a very good grade.
Yeah, and they were all very, like I said, they're encouraging to doing it. So.
And then the kids in the room wrote a funny story, and so they cannot wait to read their stories. So I told them, well, I have to finish going through them, and then later this week we'll read them. So they're very excited.
Yeah.
Of course, you have the couple who just wrote about drugs, and I said, well, Oh, I have a couple of kids who just wrote about drugs, and I always put on that drug, when you're writing about drugs, it's so overused, it's just boring. That's not funny. And that knocks them down usually.
So the ones, just to clarify, so I understand, the students who didn't do well on the story they were, so it might have been a kid who's gifted who kind of blew through it, to a kid who was low, TJ took out and did a redo, and the rest of the kids got to write a fun story. Cool.
Well, there's 3 groups.
There were three groups. And so they got to redo. There was another group out there writing a collaborative story that we were going to use in class. And then the other kids in class wrote the story with Ted's. So, and then they'll all get to hear all of them. So, anyway, if we had just given the assignment to them and not had time to redo, they wouldn't have done it. So.
Yep. And I think they all.
Just a quick summary. I would love to hear a quick summary
of
PARCC. I'm sorry, we've got some kind of a delay today, so apologize for that. But a summary of your experience with PARCC and do to help you with the assessment part.
Well, I had math. I didn't get to do any of the English this time. And there was very little technical problems. Once we got signed on and everything, the material seemed difficult. I mean, even for my upper kids that were in my room, it still seemed pretty difficult material. But besides that, I didn't know what else I could do for them.
It was more of an infrastructure test, and the kids got to see the exam, and they got to practice a little bit.
It wasn't a lot we got to see.
But we didn't get to grade anything for them, and we didn't really get to see much.
I know there are new practice ones out that we'll probably be trying here before too long, but there wasn't a whole lot to see on our part. It was more for the kids and the district to see how well the computers were.
Yeah, it was more about the computers for the practice day we did. So
I would love to.
I would say we need help in this
4 weeks of you. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I would like to hear the next 4 weeks of you and what your roles
are. Okay. Well, I know we have the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3. I'm not okay. So we have pre-writing activities, and so he's going to lead a couple of the. He was sick on Monday and Friday, so we haven't been able to talk about it too much. But so we've done the pre-writing. We did an activity with character traits, and I thought that went pretty well. And so I've got some more pre-writing. We're going to use the Paltree for pre-writing too.
Yep.
And we're going to write about the dystopian book that they've read, or another book, just to kind of get used to writing about the character traits that we're going to look for in the the book report. And then they watch a movie after the book report presentations. They watch a movie. So that week, it's more student-led. It's basically more student-led and than watching the movie. And then after that, they're going to work on writing the paper. So with the paper, I'm not sure on that. We'll probably take them to the computer lab instead of working here because it's less frustrating. And we're going to do lots and lots of editing. So even when they think they're done, then we're going to go back and we're going to underline all the verbs and check all the verbs. So
that's just good practice because they're still, even with the extra practice we did, they're still a little fuzzy on is that present or past. That seems to be the difficult one.
Yeah, they have a hard time with that. The future they can seem to get.
Yeah, it's just they look for the word will and they just go from there. So I think that's probably the easiest way to do it as well.
So for this week, he'll lead on one of the writing exercises, and probably with we're going to do a today's meet practice. And then the next week, I don't think there's anyone really leading because it's just student-led and a movie. And then after that, with the writing, it'll just be both of us in the classroom helping. So so that's kind of what we have.
Got it. So quick question with the writing, since you're moving more towards independence. And I love that fact that it sounds like you don't need to worry about who's leading because you're turning more and more over to the students. So I applaud that. And that's really the ultimate sign of great co-teaching is when teacher talk is less than 50%. So it sounds like you're 50% realm, which means you're like in the stratosphere. So congrats on that. But one of the questions I would have is that you're doing testing. What are the accommodations, TJ, that have? And is Lisa aware of all of those accommodations that can be provided? And are we making sure they're using them every day, getting ready to do testing, and they need to have understanding of the tools and how to use those? So since you're going to be in the lab, it sounds like a great place to address that. Have you guys talked about that or thought that through yet?
At the beginning of the year, I did write out the sheet that had all the accommodations for all of our kids. So we do know what all the accommodations are for our kids. Testing wise, a lot of it is read out loud, small group, elimination of or only 3 choices for multiple choice, those type of things. I don't know the internet
for the park, do we even know what it look like?
Somewhat, but we're not definitive. They haven't really showed us what a classroom is supposed to be set up like. And if, because there is no reading, it reads it to you with headphones. So we're not sure how that works yet. That's kind of what we were trying last Wednesday, but again, we're not sure.
Yeah. So unfortunately,
I know you guys have to go, but let me just summarize. Gee, if you go out on the park side, and Jen and I will do some follow-up work and try to get you the list, they actually have a demo of the writing. And I do believe, like when you're doing the underline the verbs, I believe the kids can use highlight features and they can use audio text. So I would be trying to parallel everything you're doing in the computer lab to exactly what they'll do on that assessment. And it will really help those kids' scores go up. But it will also really help you think about, does that change them as a writer? Or are some of those tools not really good for them? And are those things we shouldn't really be putting on? Accommodations aren't created equal. And so I find that we're listing all these things, but some kids do better instead of more. So that might be a good observation for the next 3 weeks. Who would be better off with less? And who actually do I need to add a layer? And you still got time to, adjust the IEP if needed for some kids.
Absolutely.
That sounds good. That sounds good. And these kids won't actually get tests on until next year, correct?
Yep. Right. Yes. We're working with this year.
So that's good that we have time to work with them.
Yeah, but it gives you a chance to let them start to practice, which is great. And then in the student-led, one last thing, just because I like to give you guys challenges because you're so good at it, and I know you may need to go, but would be in the student-led, can you pick one of your students with disabilities to lead each group now?
We probably do that.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I would be interested in seeing what happens, almost like an anecdotal report from you guys when you put them in a leadership role, if it changes their performance at all.
I think that's a good idea.
Honestly, I think there's a few that it would, but I think we should try it.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll do that. Definitely, we can do
Yeah,
that with
and you know,
editing.
make it a big deal. And you know, we're doing groups, and this is your group leader. And I just want you, Lisa, too, to observe the other kids when you make those kids a group leader.
Okay, that sounds good. We can do that.
Other things you need. Did you need Jen to come in and do anything with Powtry, or are you guys pretty comfortable there?
Looking at it, I think I feel all
yeah,
right.
I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks somewhat familiar. I don't know if I've used the exact Powtry, but I've used something similar.
So I think we'll let you know, but if we need to. Okay.
And next week,
we were
I'm
thinking
not sure. Do what?
Go
Say
ahead.
that again. Next week. I wonder if I could meet.
And next week we're
Say it one
just
more
doing the
time.
book reports and we'll just have the movie and book reports next week. So maybe we'll wait till the week after.
Okay, so start to go to every other week
to
to
meet.
meet. Sure, that'd be great. So we'll go to
Yeah.
every other week unless you tell us differently. Okay, sounds great.
That's
Now the week after,
All
I may
right.
not be able to, but Jen can lead you. The week after, on the 18th, I think it is, Jen can lead you. I won't be available, but that's okay. Jen can lead you and record it.
Okay.
17th, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Sorry about the connection.
Well,
It's a little
guys.
off today, but have a great day. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Let me stop recording.